What's up, Chiefs Kingdom? Noah Gray here, tight end for the Kansas City Chiefs. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to Josh's channel and check out showmefootball.com for more.
My goodness, guys. Well, welcome back to another video on my channel. My name is Josh Fan of showmefootball.com and arrowheadaddict.com. First of all, I want to apologize because I know I've been slow with the Chiefs content lately. After my initial wave of post-Super Bowl videos, I kind of slowed things down a little bit. And as some of you have noticed, I'm covering the Battlehawks for the XFL. And that's taking a little bit of a priority right now. We're in the midst of the XFL 2023 season. So I've been hitting hard on that. And Chiefs videos have kind of taken a back seat for a minute just because this is kind of a lull period in the NFL season, or off season, I should say, NFL calendar. I do know that we have the combine coming up. You guys are really going to want to hear draft stuff. You're going to want to hear free agency stuff, and I'm going to hit on that as soon as possible. But I wanted to make a quick video today addressing an idea that I've seen floated around Chiefs Twitter, and that is the possibility of trading cornerback L'jarius Sneed. And I have some pretty strong thoughts about this, but L'jarius Sneed, let's give some context here. Sneed is going to be going into the final year of his rookie deal next season, and this is around the time where, with a player like Sneed, you start talking extension, you start talking about what he's going to cost. And I've noticed some big names around Chiefs Twitter. For example, Carrington Harrison of 610 Sports Radio, who I am a very big fan of. I listen to 610 all the time. He said that he thinks the Chiefs should trade L'jarius Sneed, or that's his unpopular opinion at the moment, that the Chiefs are going to have to trade L'jarius Sneed. I've seen a few other big names talk about how the Chiefs may have to trade L'jarius Sneed, and a lot of this stems from the idea that Brett Veach does not like to spend big resources on cornerback, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But I also think I think a lot of the motivation for this idea of trading L'jarius Sneed comes from the fact that the Kansas City Chiefs traded Tyreek Hill last offseason, and fans have gotten a little too trigger happy, a little too comfortable, thinking we should just trade anybody that is worth a lot of money on this roster, and we can just replace them with draft picks because the Chiefs were able to do it with Tyreek Hill. And I've seen that same philosophy also applied to the Chris Jones situation, where I see a lot of people talking about potentially trading Chris Jones. And I already made a video on that, and you guys know how I feel about the idea of trading Chris Jones. But let's talk about the root of this philosophy, which I think is the Kansas City Chiefs trading Tyreek Hill. We need to emphasize how unique that situation was and why it cannot simply be applied to players like L'jarius Sneed and Chris Jones. And when you're talking about the Tyreek Hill trade, the first thing that you need to bring up when arguing with these people who suggest trading L'jarius Sneed and Chris Jones is the team wanted to keep Tyreek Hill. It was never their initial intention to trade away Tyreek Hill. They only decided to do that when negotiations went nuclear. So barring Chris Jones wanting to be paid like $35 million a year like he's a quarterback, or L'jarius Sneed, which, by the way, I don't even think would be a bad deal for Chris Jones. Give Chris Jones a blank check. But L'jarius Sneed, if he wants to be paid like $25 million a year, yeah, then you need to trade him like the Chiefs traded Tyreek Hill, and, they just decided to go another direction. But then there's also the results of the Tyreek Hill trade, which was a really freaking good draft class. Trent McDuffie, George Karlaftis, Isaiah Pacheco, Jalen Watson, Joshua Williams, Sky Moore, all those guys, all guys that contributed, played pretty important snaps at one point or another. And so fans think that can easily be replicated again. And, Brett Veach has gotten better at drafting as the years have went on. And I'm not saying I don't trust Brett Veach to draft, but sometimes your drafts aren't going to be as good. Like, the Chiefs had an A-plus draft last offseason, and it's just unrealistic that every single time the Chiefs trade a star player for a bunch of draft picks that they're going to select a bunch of guys that gives them an A-plus draft class, and those guys are going to make up for the loss of X player. And another reason that the Tyreek Hill trade was unique and it worked out was because Wide receiver is a position where there's a lot of quality guys throughout the league. The Chiefs got a couple of them in Juju and MVS, and they were able to win the Super Bowl with that wide receiver core, and that's fine. But the other reason that they were able to still win the Super Bowl this year is because they had Patrick Mahomes, and a quarterback as good as Patrick Mahomes can offset the loss of someone like Tyreek Hill. When you're talking about trading, L'jarius Sneed or Chris Jones, for that matter, there's not Mahomes of the defense that's going to cover up losing those guys. In fact, I think Chris Jones is probably the Mahomes of the defense, and if you get rid of him, guys, this pass rush is going to suck. This defense is going to suck. This defense without Chris Jones, you're not just drafting a bunch of guys with whatever draft picks you get from Chris Jones and L'jarius Sneed and thinking they're going to walk in here and your defense is just going to be fine. Like, you're just going to use all those draft picks looking for the next Chris Jones or looking for a guy with the impact of Chris Jones or L'jarius Sneed, who's the main topic of this video. But again, a lot of this can be applied to Chris Jones. I mean, look at what happened to the Buffalo Bills defense after Von Miller went down. We know the Bills have a lot of decent players across the board on their defense and some pretty solid contributors, Ed Oliver, Tre'Davious White, guys like that. But when Von Miller went down, that pass rush declined severely. The defense declined severely. The defense got punked in the playoffs. And I could see something very similar happening to the Chiefs if they just unload their star players like that, like fans are wanting to do with L'jarius Sneed or Chris Jones. And also, the Tyreek Hill trade was one that you make every so often. You want to kind of replicate what the Patriots were able to do, which was not putting themselves in a tough cap situation by just paying everybody that came into the organization. Anyone that was good, they had to let go of guys that they liked in order to achieve longevity, and that's fine, and the Chiefs can do that, but they don't have to do it with every single player that we think is going to require a big contract, like a Sneed or a Jones. And your goal at the end of the day is to keep as many elite players on this team as possible, to stockpile as much talent as possible, not have less of it. And that is the case with a guy like L'jarius Sneed. Now, at the same time, I'm not going to say L'jarius Sneed is untouchable. There's only a couple of guys on the Chiefs that have untouchable status. So, sure, if someone offered you the right package, you could trade L'jarius Sneed. But L'jarius Sneed is probably one of those guys that is in the category of, not untouchable, but also probably not a smart idea to trade him. That's how I feel about L'jarius Sneed. We're talking about one of the most versatile defensive players in the league. Your veteran of the cornerback room. I know people are saying this because they're confident in Brett Veach and how he's able to find guys that contribute at corner. Look what he did in the last draft. You got Williams and you got Watson. Why can't you just do that again? And we don't have to pay L'jarius Sneed. Well, that's just ridiculous thinking in my mind. L'jarius Sneed is someone that, could be a perennial Pro Bowler, several-time All-Pro. Again, one of the most versatile players in the league, one of the most versatile defensive backs in all of the league. He's the leader of that secondary as things stand right now. And at some point, you can't just expect your team to absorb the loss of so many great players and just replacing them with a bunch of rookies and draft picks and stuff like that. Like, at the end of the day, the Chiefs are still trying to contend. And that's just not a move that you make and still sell yourself as a contender year after year. Again, you can do it every once in a while like you did with Tyreek Hill, but you don't need to do it in consecutive off seasons. And I brought this up earlier. People talk about how Brett Veach doesn't like to invest a lot of resources at corner. That was something that you could say early on in Brett Veach's tenure, yeah. But when you look at Brett Veach's tenure as a whole, it's not like he's been the GM for that long. Yeah, he didn't invest in cornerback earlier on in his career as the Chiefs general manager, but he just spent a first-round pick on Trent McDuffie in the last draft. I don't think Brett Veach was avoiding trying to pay big resources for cornerback. He knew that was something that he would have to address at some point, and he did. They also spent a fourth-round pick and a seventh-round pick on Williams and Watson. So I don't think he just has this unwillingness to pay L'jarius Sneed because he doesn't invest in cornerbacks. I think that's false. I think cornerback is just something that kind of fell by the wayside earlier on in Brett Veach's tenure because the team just had bigger needs, and he was able to find guys like Bashad Breeland and whoever that could contribute, and that's fine. But now Veach has definitely made cornerback a position of emphasis over the last couple off seasons, and I don't think that is a very good reason for trading L'jarius Sneed. Is Brett Veach doesn't spend resources on cornerback. I don't necessarily agree with that. At the end of the day, this team traded Tyreek Hill mostly due to the fact that negotiations just went haywire, but they wanted to pay him. But now that you didn't pay him and you traded him away and you freed up cap space, that allows you to keep more players that you like, such as L'jarius Sneed or Chris Jones. And that's what I expect the Chiefs to do. The Chiefs eventually, again, will have to let go of a guy they like, but I don't think that's what they're going to do with L'jarius Sneed. And I think it's ridiculous that we're talking about this. Again, Sneed is not untouchable. Sure, he could be had for the right price by another team, but I think the Chiefs intend to keep L'jarius Sneed. That's my thinking right now. Hopefully Brett Veach doesn't shock me with some blockbuster move this offseason, but I wanted to address this idea of trading L'jarius Sneed. I don't really agree with it. I think people are getting a little too trigger happy, a little too comfortable because the Chiefs made a good deal in Tyreek Hill, but that was a big risk when they made that move, and sometimes the big risk doesn't always turn out a big reward, and I think Chiefs fans just need to remember that. So that's all I got for this video, but I want to hear from you guys in the comments. What are your opinions on potentially trading L'jarius Sneed? Do you agree, disagree with me on what I had to say about it? Let me know. All that being said, make sure you like, share, and subscribe so more Chiefs fans can find this. I know a lot of you watching are not subscribed, but it really does help my channel. I know we're getting into draft and free agency season, and this is usually the time of year where I see a spike in my numbers because a lot of people are interested in who is coming to play for the Chiefs and who is going out the door. Off-season drama, we have it all the time, so hopefully I can get a lot of your guys' attention for that, and I always enjoy this time of the year. But, yeah, go ahead. Make sure you subscribe. Turn on the notification bell because that helps. But one more thing, just check out my work on showmefootball.com and arrowheadaddict.com while you're at it, and I will see you all in the next one.